Thank you for your time. It's another day to review some of the events that have happened across the nation. Here now, this is where you find this conversation going forward, where there's always room to debate with FemiDlive. Welcome to the show. Today, one can say that the Nigerian Senate has taken out time to resume. They're back to the chambers, reviewing many of the occasions that have possibly gone on for the last few days, I would say. I'm afraid to use the word weeks now. Well, a few days, I would say, where they're here to review one of those moments. And one of those key moments was the fact that as they met as well and talked about the fact that there was much reform that needs to be done, especially in the power sector. Well, they lost power. Yes, well, just at the point where they talked about power were in the Senate. Earlier on today, they lost power in that very place. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives Speaker also took out this time to address what he felt was a failure in living up to expectation in the power sector, even laying claim to figures that he said were just not where he thought we should be. Also in the power sector, much debate goes on from the unions and the Transmission Company of Nigeria, where much of their debate and their issue is the fact that why bring in an outsider, somebody from the African Development Bank, to take charge of the TCN? They are afraid, maybe they are afraid of if reforms were to go on within that sector, people may lose their jobs. Even though the Minister of Power Works announcing, Babatunde Fashola, also did come out to say, guys, let's get this straight. My intention, or the intention of the federal government, who chooses, by the way, who heads the TCN, is not to create chaos within that system. So he's made it clear, if that answer is satisfactory enough, we can only wait and see and how things to go. Now, in the year 2006 now, yeah, it should be 2006. Yeah, 2006. Well, what's my numbers telling me? Yes, 9 years ago precisely. Let's walk back. Yes, 9 years ago. That'll be 2006. Yes, I'm accurate on this. Well, one article was published in Reuters, the international platform where news is often disseminated. It was about what the opposition spokesman of the Action Congress did say at the time. And the opposition spokesman at the time happened to be LAI Mohammed. And he queried about how the government at the time was handling the issue of President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua's state of health. He questioned about if there was daily updates that should be done and other things. He brought it all on. I'll read out an excerpt of what he said to you. Meanwhile, Femi Adesina was clear earlier on today when he said he's in touch with London, but he hasn't spoken to the president directly, but he's in touch with London. So you get to listen to what he said in just a short while as well. Also digging around the news would have to be about the Rivers Rerun election. Well, it has been a saga between the Nigerian police, the Inspector General of Police, and the Rivers State Governor there, Nyesom Wike. And discovery that is standing to be proven by the prosecutor to say, wait, this is the evidence now. We can say this is the evidence that will nail or put anybody in a very difficult position. The value, 111 million naira. That's the value that the police are putting forward before lawmakers to say, before the justice arm of government to say, this is why we think there was something wrong in the election, especially the role of which some alleged corrupt officials of INEC did play. 111 million naira. Only one can wait to see how the governor there in Rivers State would come out, either to deny or to put up a position on this. I'll take you through a review of some of the few things that were said today in the National Assembly, and I'll also bring you up to speed regarding arguments that are also going on in other areas of the country. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation says it's about time we change cars for 7 ex-presidents, and that will cost us 0.4 billion naira. I've said enough regarding what one could think about. But these and many more are the issues you don't want to miss out on. Thanks for joining in. This is FemiDlive, and there's always room for debate. Let's start off by paying homage to the Nigerian soldiers. Here and now, welcome to the show. I am Femi D. Amele. Good evening.
This is FemiDlive. was blind, could not see nothing but walls in front of me, and inside no peace. And the mountains seemed impossible to climb until you stood on the front line. You led the way out of the darkness. We didn't go astray. You were ready to die for our sake, and that takes a soldier's heart. Oceans so deep, uphill, so steep, but still we believe. And when the road was too far to travel, heroes, you came and carried us there. And the mountain seemed impossible to climb until you stood on the front line. You led the way out of the darkness. We didn't go astray. You were ready to die for our sake, and that takes a soldier's heart. And so our flag was still there, oh, because you decided to care. Our burden to bear. You stood on the front line. Woo. You led the way right out of the darkness. We didn't go astray. You were ready to die for our sake, and that takes. You stood on the front line. You led the way right out of the darkness. Hey, you could have let us go astray. You were ready to die for our sake, and that takes a soldier's heart. Whoa, that takes a soldier's heart. Hey, it takes.
Dedicated to every Nigerian soldier from FemiDlive on J101.9 FM. Nothing breaks the news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it. I'm ready. Let's take on the biggest debates on radio, provide insights, experience, and build an unforgettable discussion together. I am Femi D. Amele. Let's talk with FemiDlive is on.
This is FemiDlive.
All right there, welcome to the show this evening. Let's start off by reviewing a little bit of the workshop that did take place earlier on today. Well, the workshop on the Nigerian Power Challenge, a legislative intervention. The workshop in itself is aimed at looking at what the legislators can really do, get in there and possibly provide solution in as regards where we find ourselves in the power sector. Okay, so at some point there is no gas. At some point is the fact that a cockroach crossed the wire, and that's why there's a break in transmission or electricity connecting possibly from Lagos to Niger State. No, when no chicken can cross the road now in such a way that it steps on the wire, and there's no electricity transmitted from one point to the other. I mean, we've seen a lineup of excuses and the unexcusable moments as well take over the issues in the power sector. I know sometimes when a food is so bad, it's gone so really bad, you're not even sure exactly what has really gone wrong if you're making a food, whether it was the excessive seasoning that was added, whether it was the salt, whether it was the water that was more than the gari. That depends on what you're trying to make and how much of a disaster you can make from the cooking. However, it's not to say all these ingredients in itself, that's the gari, the sugar, the salt, and the water you add all in there, is designed to create chaos in the first place. No. Separately or by themselves, they essentially look at how they are good enough to provide good meal or good. I mean, just imagine you adding salt in the right quantity, adding sugar in the right quantity, gari in the right quantity, whatever you're cooking possibly could come out right. But when these things go excessively, then you have a problem. So the legislators decided to intervene and look at how possibly they can provide a solution that would possibly have a pinch of this, a pinch of that, a pinch of this, have the water boil just at the right temperature, and then somebody stirs it together and we have a perfect power sector. At least that's the plan. Well, here are some of the ideas that they decided to cook up today to see whether we can have a reformation in the power sector today. Well, the event held in Abuja earlier on today, and you had the likes of Bukola Saraki, the Senate President, and the Speaker as well, Yakubu Dogara, present, talking about power sector and the dialogue to go forward. Now, Bukola Saraki, the Senate President, spoke on the fact that there's need for concerted efforts being made in the past to revamp the power sector and the need for a new approach. He also commended the Chairman Senate Committee on Power, that's Senator Abaribe, and Chairman House Committee on Power, Honorable Daniel Asuko, for what they have done so far so good in terms of how things should be so far in the light of or in the wake of events as one would find at this point in time. Now, let me take it a little bit forward. Bukola Saraki made it very clear when he said, where we are is not an accident. We worked our way into the landmine. We are facing with the decisions we made in the past. That's him covering the idea of power sector and how things have veered off essentially from the main plan. So you have some of those ideas. Yakubu Dogara was also present. I have his full speech and he talked about the relevant questions to be asked. Let me go through the questions Yakubu Dogara raised earlier on today. I have about 10 of them. He said, why has power generation remained at less than 5,000 megawatts since the last 56 years? Why are various policies by successful government failed? Why has the transmission infrastructure remained inadequate in wheeling the available power? He also asked, why has transmission infrastructure remained inadequate in wheeling available power? How can the federal government rapidly expand the transmission infrastructure? I'm getting there. He also raised another question. He said, why are electric meters not available to most consumers, thereby leading to continuous estimated billing? And by the way, I heard that's a saga. You know when something is a saga on its own, for those who play games, there's Family Come, there's PlayStation, then there's Saga. This one is the saga where you know you want to play Mortal Kombat in it. Oftentimes you find the electricity operators making themselves available to say, see, I've looked at your house. The way your house looks with the color of the house, green, with the green color that your house looks, you should be paying 50,000 naira a month for your electricity supply to this house. And then somebody looks and says, wait, what exactly do I have in my house that I should be paying 50,000 naira as part of the estimated bill? How does somebody use his eyes to judge how you use electricity in the house? I wonder. I really just wonder. I know it's been a serious issue, and people say, okay, we want these meters. Give us these meters. Let us plug this thing. Here is to plug the red and the black. Forgive me, I'm making it sound as easy as that. But somebody says you just put the red wire and the black wire, and it all goes into the metering system, and voila, the thing starts to count from 0 till I finish, or till I buy 1,000 naira, and it comes all the way down until it's over. Somebody thinks of it that way. But then the same meter that supposedly somebody in Nigeria, and somebody who's been cunning enough to bring in the meters, says, okay, why don't let me provide you, let me supply you with meters so that we can count or value and find the value around the electricity. And some other person gets the idea and says, no, these meters are not well metered. They have not been standardized. They have not been verified. So we can't use these meters. If you understand us, if you understand how these things should go. Somebody comes up with such an idea, and on the other hand, we're waiting for the guy who would import the meters into the country that is standardized, who possibly is telling you, wait a little bit, somebody is still manufacturing and tying the cables and trying to get the meter to move left from right and right to left. So you have the estimated billing system going on, and it's going on and on. Whether you are on a meter system or whether you're on no light system or no meter system, somebody would wake up in the last few weeks that we just gone by, and knock on somebody's door, a full-grown man's door, and would tell him, my dear friend, guy, my oga, the light one see we use. It's 30,000 naira. It comes up with an idea and says it's 30,000 naira. And you wonder why Nigerians sometimes lose their mind when they get estimated bills. Because you wonder, you can count the number of times you were beaten by mosquito late into the night. You can count the number of times, okay, thank God Johnson's not really hot, but you can count the number of times people feel completely cheated off. And it's so sad that one would say, like somebody put it to me, said it's a situation one can say, it's an alleged stealing, daytime stealing that you can't do nothing about. That's how somebody put it. Okay, so let me go on with the questions Dogara raised. He also talked about how can NEC establish a cost-effective or cost-reflective tariff and reduce inefficiency in support of affordable end-user tariffs. Why has there not been an effective gas master plan for Nigeria, which would have preceded the building of the gas-fired power plant? What other question did he raise that would get your interest? Oh, yes. He said, why is there local and foreign investor apathy in investing in the Nigerian power sector? How can the federal government create a sustainable investment climate and private sector participation in the power sector? Then he went on to talk about creditworthy of people, who is creditworthy. In fact, if you follow this speech, if you follow what Dogara said, I can assure you the questions I see that he raised in that very speech, nothing less than 20 of them. Now, should I do the counting? No, I don't want to bore you, but about 20 of them. And it's sad that these are questions that you can't run away from. They are real-life questions. In fact, one would almost say electricity is like a real person living at home with you. One of the things I get to ask when I get to leave the office, I work about 12 hours a day, and I ask myself as I'm leaving the office, is there electricity at home? Kai, let me finish this paperwork before I do go. Dogara fell, he reflected on 1999 to 2015 and said 2.74 trillion naira had been spent on electricity in Nigeria. So, having raised 20 questions, I know somebody at home is asking me, how many of them did he answer in his speech? If you're watching this, you possibly see me draw my hand round in a circle that sometimes implies 0. At least not in this speech. It didn't reflect at any point in time that he had a solution in this regard. Now, Baba Tunde Fashola also had some other guys who did come in to speak about the power sector. Engineer Majo Koju said there was no master plan. An industry model adopted was flawed. Consumers were not adequately sensitized. What else do you want to tell people about electricity that they're not getting? He talked about the fact that vested contracts and rule of law should be respected. Knowledgeable and experienced persons must carry out audits. Well, Konla Adeshina, the managing director and CEO of Sahara Power Group, also was on point. He said, without gas, any power plant is a museum. I like that one. I think I will take that up on a retweet. Find my retweets on at FemiDlive. Without gas, any power plant is a museum. He did go on to say, and so many other ideas that were disseminated in that very conference, raising more issues and more issues and more issues and more issues in that regard. And even up to 30 minutes ago, much of that conference, I understand, is about just rounding up for the day. It's a 2-day conference, so much of those speeches will still go on tomorrow. All right. Well, let's move away from power and talk about other issues. So earlier on today, the special advisor, the senior special advisor to the president, President Muhammad Buhari, Femi Adesina, was on. Well, he was on Saturday night, and he was on Sunday night as well on NTA, and then he was on Channels TV on Sunday, and today was not an exception. He was on as well. Well, he has had to project, defend, prepare, showcase, and make clear the position of the presidency, the office where he works from, as regards some issues, some developing issues, from like the likes of the protests to the issue of the president seeking more time away on leave. But one key thing he said that became quite attractive in its own right. Let me share some few key points he raised earlier today, just for you to listen.
Okay, you know, when the president was traveling on January 19, we said he was going to take a vacation and also do some medical checkups. You know, the essence of medical checkups is to find out the state of your being health-wise. And that test can throw up a number of things. So now the situation is that series of tests have been done, and his doctors have advised that he still stays back so that his cycle can be completed. That's what is in the statement that we have issued. You know that there is medical doctor-patient confidentiality. No doctor will release that to you. I am sure that if we get to a point when the president has to disclose the status of his health, if it needs to be disclosed, if it's something serious enough to disclose, I'm sure he will disclose. You just said it, that some people are optimistic and they believe that the president is okay. I would rather respond to those people than those who carry malicious, evil rumors. Those ones have a right to the rumors they are carrying. We don't respond to them. Once we have told you, Mr. President, when they said he was dead, we said he was alive. That answers the question as far as I'm concerned. But now that he says, yes, I need to do some further medical investigations, if you want to pray for him, you don't necessarily need to know what exactly is wrong. Just pray for well-being. If there was a date he will return, it will have been in that statement. Oh. But the issue now is there is no vacuum in government, no lacuna, because power has been transferred to the vice president, who is acting president. So Mr. President can take the time he desires. And when his doctors give him a clean bill of health, he then can return home.
So you find Femi Adesina making the position of the president known, presidency, let me go with those words, known as regards to latest and that. That was on Sunday night. Now, today he appeared and he had some other additions to what one would say. Okay, let me share this with you about whether he's in touch with the president, whether he has spoken to the president directly. His answer.
Daily. I'm not saying I speak with him direct, but I'm in touch with London daily. People around him will speak daily. They're not. I thought they were going to sit today. They don't sit at weekends, they don't sit on Mondays, but they sit on Tuesdays. So they should sit today. Well, I am sure that if an emergency comes up, they can always ask them to show up and take a decision. And I don't think this is like a national emergency. This is more like following due process.
And then he went on to add that, quoting him now, you can't compare the Yaradua scenario and saga with what is happening now. Then you can ask for daily updates. Then you could ask for daily updates because the president left the country without anybody being told where he was headed and why he was going there. Two, he did not transfer power to his deputy then, the vice president. That is not the situation now. When the president was leaving on the 19th of January, we issued a statement that he was going on vacation and he would do routine medical checkups. And now when those medical checkups need to be extended, we also announced it because he needed to still do more and get the result. He asked for an extension, and then 3 power has been transferred to the vice president, to his acting president. In other words, 3 reasons why he's made it clear, in case this has crossed your mind, he's clearing things up for everybody. 3 reasons why this is not exactly the same as the scenario you had or you would have with the likes of late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua in that light. So you have that going on. So 3 reasons why it's not the same. Now, you know, at this point when I go silent, I'm always at the point where I remember something very, very, very interesting. 2010, January. Okay, let me go with the dates. Reuters reported in January 4, 2010 that a Nigerian opposition party on Monday, I'm reading the report from 7 years ago, where the Action Congress at the time, the Action Congress party, demanded proof that an ailing President Umaru Yar'Adua was fit enough to govern for after weeks in hospital overseas. I would like to read out the words that the man you know, as LAI Mohammed said at the time. Here's what he said. The Action Congress has renewed its call on the federal government to give Nigerians a daily update on the health of President Umaru Yar'Adua to stem the growing rumors surrounding his state of health. In a statement issued in Lagos on Sunday by National Publicity Secretary LAI Mohammed, the party said the current situation whereby ministers and aides of the president give out uncoordinated information on his health is doing more harm than good. Therefore, a daily briefing by the Minister of Information based on the authentic details provided by President's doctors should start forthwith. As we have said many times, going on now, just be patient with me, the health of the president as a public figure can no longer be in the interest of his family alone. Only to his family and friends, Nigerians have the right to know. The party also called on the Federal Executive Council, the only body constitutionally empowered to start the process of determining whether or not the president can continue in office on the basis of his health to rise above the mundane consideration and put the nation's interests at rest. These will have to be, when you walk down the memory lane, what you would have found the likes of Minister LAI Mohammed to have said to Reuters. I'm looking at that right now. He used the words concrete evidence of the state of health of the former video. He even suggested a dated video recording of the Nigerian leader in the hospital room in Saudi Arabia. And his words went on to say, it's necessary for President Yar'Adua, if indeed is recovering as Nigerians have been praying, he does, to move fast to reassure his compatriots that the rumors surrounding his health are unfounded, said LAI Mohammed at the time. That was in 2010. Of course, at the time, a presidency spokesman declined to make any comment about that. Now, here's the thing. Listening to Femi Adesina raise the question to say, I'm in touch with the delegates in London, but I haven't spoken with the president. It's a good way to say, guys, it's come up transparent. He has said as much as he knows, or as much as he can really verify. He hasn't applied any other thing. As far as he knows, as well as he knows, he has said. But the words of LAI Mohammed 6 years ago, if one were to flip the coin, this time around to ask the question, as a public figure, I'm quoting him now, as a public figure can no longer be of interest only to his family and friends, Nigerians have a right to know. It points in one direction for me, which is about the fact that if something had been seen before and has been talked about, that you don't do that, because the rule around this is if you do that, it means you're not being sincere with the Nigerian people. It brings to me the simple question. It's not even about as much as about the transparency, but it's about the fact that much claim is the fact that, okay, let me give you another part. Femi Adesina was asked about the fact that on Sunday night, do you think people, don't you think that people should know what they should be praying exactly for the president about? I mean, God, that was much of the line of share on that night. Pretty much saying, God, to a large extent, would like to know, you have to be specific in your prayers. Don't you think Nigerians should know what they had to pray about for the president? That was what he asked, but that's on the sideline. And he went on to say, you really don't have to know what to pray about, so long as it's in your heart to pray, it's in your heart to pray. Now, I'm not even going spiritual on this. But do you think, question, and I'd like you to answer the most noble, respectful, responsible, and truthful way. Yesterday it was 3 words, today it's 4. The most noble, respectful, responsible, and truthful way. Would you like to know more about the state of health of the president? Are you ascribing to the thinking of the likes of LAI Mohammed, where he said, as a public figure, can no longer be of interest only to his family and friends? Nigerians have the right to know. His words from 6 years ago, and he even used the ideas of concrete evidence. Do you want to know? Would you like to know? This is not about you trying to judge a state of health. No, please, let's not get it wrong. That's not the intention of this discussion. Would you like to know? Would you want to know? Would you like to know? Would you want to know? Is there something to know? Just very simple question. It's and when would you like to know without you being malicious or being abusive in your response? I believe we are responsible, truthful, noble people, so we're going to be able to get very, very truthful answers. What would you like to know? Would you like to know just for knowing? Would you like to know with concrete evidence, if I use these words now? Would you like to know because as the president or in the interest of Nigerians, because as a public figure, because it will help your prayer? Would you like to know? I ask of you, please be responsible. This is a very sensitive issue, and it has to do with a man's life, and more importantly, it has to do with our president's life. Would you like to know? That's the question I'm asking. After the break, I'll take your calls.
This is FemiDlive.